All right. Let me just, yeah, let's just open the chat and we are good to go. So for those though that have seen the previous session, we were talking about doing some logging and analytics, and in some way also trying to catch any fallback or any utterance that were not catched by any intent in the skill. That made me thinking of another option to maybe better handle that in a skill. And what I will show you today is more a proof of concept than a real project, but I think that that will help you if you add that in your project, at least in the prototype phase. That will help you to better do the conversation design. Actually, basically, what we will do here today is making a new option. So instead of having the, okay, we got the user utterance option, that's the first. And the second one is, sorry, I didn't get that. Instead of that two option, ideally we should add another one, and that will replace the second option. And this will be a way to, if we don't have any match, for that utterance, why not trying something else before returning the sorry, we didn't get that. And a bit of a summary here is this is something that I'm facing on pretty much every project, and I'm pretty sure that's also something you are facing pretty much every time. It's basically, it's very hard to be able to handle any user utterance in your skill. So it will be way more easier if your skill is basically a yes/no skill, for sure. But as soon as you go a bit deeper and tend to get more open answer from you users, and so the utterance will also be way harder to deal with. And that's what we will do today. Again, a quick example of that. The first time it happens to me was I was designing a skill for my kids. We have a radio here in France, which is called France Inter. And this radio share a ton of news stories for kids, and great quality stories made by guests, great voiceover, great ambient sound, so good sound designs. So that's something I wanted to share with my kids. I'm not saying that you need to feed your kids with Amazon scale story only. Reading is also a good part of learning and training your kids, for sure. But in that typical case, that's also a challenge for me to do kind of a first project for my kids. And the good thing with kids is, unlike most of the users, they will answer in a way that likely you are not going to handle. And there are very, very good user for testing, obviously. And the first time I've finished my skill, I've tested that as an adult, of course, doing multiple tests. All the returns were handled correctly, it was fine. And okay, it was the lunch day. So starting with the kids, welcome message. Kids are happy. Do you want to hear that story? First prompt. And my daughter simply said, no, this one scares me. And that's a good example how you can screw a project. Just not handling this kind of thing, because that's not something that's come in my mind when I was designing it. Just a little thing like that. So, and obviously, yeah, sorry, I didn't get that. Kind of make my kids a bit sad. You know, you are useless if you are not going to help me telling story that will not scares me, then you are useless. And that was a good lesson to learn. So I've made my homework, and from that, I try to handle as much as possible any variation, trying to log any fallback, any stuff on what I need to optimize in the skill in the project I'm working on. And surely that's also something you have to do. That's why, and that's how important testing is, how testing is important, sorry. How beta testing is important is the thing to always test that yourself, but it's another one to let external user and non-user sometimes try the skill, because you will have have some answers, some utterance that you will not prepared to handle. So from that, I went to use another solution, because if I can't handle that, I will like to have like a digital brain do the stuff for me, or at least do whatever it can to handle that, as well as if it can't be able to understand or handle that specific utterance, at least it should log it and hopefully use that to train and be a better each day, on each launch, and each use. And that's what we are going to do today with Wit. Wit is it's an open source chatbot. It's owned by Facebook, and it's a framework with advanced natural language processing, NLP, also known as NLP, and this can be helpful. So the way I've made the skill right there, this proof of concept, is basically first try to let Alexa handle the utterance and the intent, and if it's not able to deal with that, then we will pass that to Wit.ai. And if Wit can handle that, then that's cool. We can follow the correct path. If not, at least we will have that logged, and we can use that to learn and train the model each time. So let's go just have an introduction. So this is Wit. This is free. This is free to use. You will have some limitation, but those are not that bad. Actually, the limitation is 600 requests per minute and per app. So that's 10 requests a second. So in our case, and again, it's more for this, it's more on the prototype part of the skill that you will use that. It will be very useful during testing, but at the same time, you can also use that as a second option in a live skill, in production, actually. So this is how it works. Right now, I'm having this little demo where basically we were mimicking a storytelling skill. So we welcome the user. I have a great story for you. This is whatever story title is. Are you okay to listen to the story? And then we have a choice block, and the choice block will use the another story intent, which is made in the case of the kids or the user says, I want another one. I don't want that one, and this kind of thing. So it should handle any utterance that mean give me another story. We also have the yes intent, the no intent. That's the built-in slot from Amazon, and we have a catch-all intent. So I think most of you already heard about this one, but basically we are using a book slot type to catch whatever the user utterance is. In a case of none of those intent, we're able to catch that utterance or to deal with that utterance. So the row value will be set to that slot, the query slot. As you can see right there, if I go to the intent another story, you can see that we only have one utterance, which is I want another one. That's it. So of course, here, if the user say, no, sorry, but this story scares me. In a normal project, you will go to, sorry, I didn't get that. That will hit the else port. Or here, that will hit the intent catch-all. And that's what we want. That's the second option. And the second option will basically use the, with the help of the API block, we'll use that Wit.ai framework to, first option, get a response from that, get a match, or just populate the model and train that, or at least give us the utterance so we can then train the model. And the ultimate goal here is not to replace the model we have and we want to use with Alexa. Is basically to create a new model with all the utterance we will then add to our skill. And that's why it makes sense to use it in a production, because in production mode, this will be triggered not very often, actually. Most of the variation on the utterance will be catched by that because you will have already learned and made the model we want to use. So you will be already able to feel all the utterance you need here. And that's how it will work, basically. We don't have anything here. Okay, we train the model. And from that training, we then updating our first model with that information, if that makes sense. So again, here, we only have one intent here, which is I want another one, a yes, a no. So most likely, a lot of chance that none of the user utterance will be handled by that block. But if we try that, so let's use this testable link. If we try that, actually, let's load the preview. So again, keep in mind that we have an empty shell here. Nothing much than yes, no, a catch-all, and I want another one. Let's try, sorry about that, a bit sick. I've already, okay, I already, sorry, listened to that story. So of course, this should fail. But yeah, looks like we have handled that correctly. I already listened to that story. No worries. What about another one? Ready for that one? Okay, not really. I do prefer, I've got my script right there. I do prefer to listen to listen to the little rabbit, for example. And same thing here. It shouldn't handle that. No way, because we don't have that in the skill. But we have indeed, actually. If you can see here, if nothing is catched by those intent, we still have the catch-all. And what the catch-all will do is going to Wit, and we will switch to Wit right after that, but just explaining how the thing goes after that. So we use Wit to send the queries, whatever the user utterance we've catched, and then try to match the intent. And from that, we are then redirecting the user. And that's why even if we've used utterance that we shouldn't be handling right now, it works. And if we go to Wit and we check our project, so basically you create a project, that's a Voiceflow demo here, but the way it's working is you have the understanding section, which is where you train the app. And here you can see that that's the last two utterance I've used during the test I've made with you. So not really, I do prefer to listen to the little rabbit. Okay, so they understand that this should be sent to the intent switch story. And better than that, the training and the model was trained in a way that it understands that the little rabbit was actually the entity we want. So that's the story name, also known as slot, with very high confidence here. So, and this one was not already in the model. As you can see, we can train and validate. So we will do that. And this is the thing you will do when you do the prototyping and some user test your skill. You will have a lot of different utterance here, and you will just have to check if all those utterance are matched to the correct intent. And that's also something you can do with live skill, but you can't do that at least in the very beginning of the creation of the project on Alexa. It's something you will have to handle yourself. So this is something that will help you to do that. And that's the second one. I already listened to that story. Let's see how the model try to match that intent. Another story. Yes, that's correct. That's the another story intent. And so how it works, it's basically you are adding intent the same way you're doing that in Voiceflow. And by the way, the good thing is use the same intent, because ultimately what you will do after that is export the project and the model from this with AI. You can export that right there. And in that, you will have a JSON with all the utterance you will then be able to add in your model in Voiceflow. You will have all the utterance the user use during the test. But instead of having to try to find which one they will use. Then you have the one they have actually used. So you don't have to try to find, or yeah, basically you don't have to try to find the one they will use. And here you can see that in the entities, that's basically a slot with some information already, the blue balloon. So that's has been extracted. Each time the model is trained, each time a user use the prototype or the preview link in your skill, this will be populated by whatever utterance they will use to talk to your skill. And that's the beauty of it. That's nothing you have to do apart giving the link, giving the preview link to the user so they can test and they can train. They will train the model for you. Yeah, again, from that, the thing we do then in the skill is basically, I can show you, I will do a test request here. So that's the query. That's what we are sending to it. I got another one. No way this one scares me. Yeah, that's the famous one. No way this one scares me. Let's see how the model will handle that. So no way, that's the text. The confidence, .99, yes. And the intent match the intent another story, which is perfect. Yes, no way this one scares me. We want another one. We want another story. So that's basically what we are using. So the name, the confidence, and sometimes also the entities, if we have to use the entities, which are slot again in Voiceflow. Then it's simple. It's simply an if block. So we don't want to. We just don't want to grab anything that is lower than 0.7 in confidence. Actually, you can go upper than that, like 0.8, but you can tweak that. And then we are just checking in what intent this has been mapped or linked to. So if it's if intent is intent another story, or if intent is intent switch story, or if it's a yes intent, if it's a no intent, then you go to the proper path. And you can say, okay, what are you doing with the yes and no intent? Well, if you test that right there, let's do that. That's as adults, the easy way to answer the "Are you okay to listen to this story?" question is yes. My kids, they will answer that in that way. Yes, yes, yes. For example, you want to handle that. And again, this has been handled just because we trained that, just because, let's say, I've asked my kids to test that preview link, for example, as a game with them to just, okay, kids, do you want to help daddy to make something or works on your skill? Because right now, actually, I'm pretty proud of that skill just because they are using it since pretty much a year, more than a year now, actually. And trust me, at least for my kids, giving their interest in something more than 2 weeks, that's a bit of a challenge. So yeah, again, that's the way you will handle this kind of stuff, which will not be the case with just a yes slot on Alexa. And yeah, trust me, I've just tested it, and yes, yes, yes will not work. So go back right there. That's great. That's a good thing. Hopefully you get. I know it's not easy to understand because that's mostly something I imagine in my brain right now. So I'm trying to make this understandable with you guys. So, but hopefully the thing is here. Okay, I've got two brains. One is the Alexa brain, and the other one will, like a spare one, I will train, feed with utterance during my testing, my prototyping, and from that brain, I will extract all the data, everything I've trained, all the model, and then put that back in my first brain, which is the main one, which is the one used by Alexa. That's a simple way to explain that, but hopefully you get it. So that's the first thing. Another one, another thing you can do, for example, this is another proof of concept, if you want. I was working on this thing as basically doing, this is an FAQ generator. So instead of making the question and answer, that's pretty much what you will do for FAQ. You say, okay, what my user will ask, the skill, and how I will answer that. Well, have you already seen, why not ask the user to actually feed that second brain with the utterance, with the question they want us to answer? And that's what we are doing right there. So instead of just using the one call to the API, we are doing multiple calls, but basically what we are doing is automatically adding utterance to the intent. So as you can see here, when you go back to the understanding, you will see the last utterance that have been tested during the test. No news, because yes was already trained, and that's all. It also works. So nothing new to learn here. But if something new will happen, as you already seen, you will have the utterance here, and you will have to, okay, this is for that intent, validate and train, or train and validate actually. Well, why not automate that? Why not, instead of going back and forth and manually do this, why not doing it in an automatic way? And that's what we are doing right there. So the thing is, for this example, welcome in Voiceflow FAQ generator. Since it's your first time, I will ask you to tell me common question that users can ask regarding Voiceflow pricing. For this demo, I will ask you to give me 4 examples of question. You don't have any limitation here. You can ask any more question. And by the way, the skill is made that it's a loop, so they can ask multiple questions. But here, that can be user, that can be someone on your team, that can be you, that will just talk to the skill and feed that skill with utterance. So instead of going into Voiceflow, going to the utterance and type everything, you can share the link, again, the preview link, with anyone that will be helpful to feed that data, to help to train that model. You give them, and whenever they get the chance, they will launch that link and do some stuff. Just, because it can be fun to understand and to try to type some stuff. And just because they want to help you also, maybe. So that's basically what you will do with this, and then you will have, so this first call will basically create the intent if it's not already existing. So that's the intent. endpoint, and you send basically just the name of the intent you want to create. Because yes, it's only about the pricing for this example. You can also have a menu where the user will, regarding the specialty they're working on, they can be redirected to feed the model regarding their knowledge. And okay, you are more on the tech side. Okay, let's feed the tech brain, for example, to make it that more simple. So yeah, okay, we created the intent. Let's start. How user will more likely ask for pricing information? Please start each of your answer with record, followed by the question. This is a slightly different. That's the book catch-all hack. Here we are using the search query slot instead, because again, we are more on a training model and training mode. So it's understandable for the tester that will not be live user yet to have to trigger something to register and record the utterance. But I mean, you can also trick that and use what I've done for the My Kid Story demo and use a catch-all with the book, for example. In that example, we are just using the search query slot type. So we use a carrier phrase, which is record. Then we go here. Okay, start your question with record. It's just in the case that the user forget to trigger that with the record word. And that we will have the, great, I'm starting to learn. Do you want to add another question? If yes, then we will, again, feed the brain or train the data, train the model as we are posting the utterance to the corresponding intent. So this section is all about, and that can be a flow, by the way. This section is all about the pricing. So this will feed the price request intent with the utterance, which is the question the user tell the skill. So that's the main part of the training of the skill. That's what we will share with your stakeholder and coworkers and all this kind of people. And then when you're ready, you just switch to this part. And this part is what we have in My Kid Story demo. This is the same thing, using a catch-all and then trying to see if the intent match the price request intent from Wit.ai. And in that case, okay, here's some information regarding your Voiceflow pricing. And as you can see, if I switch to the other, I've already done some testing, but you can see here, that's the training that the user I've done. And the utterance we have populated actually from the skill. What's the problem price? How much costs the problem? Do you have a free plan? What's the weather in Paris? What's my name? Do you have some bananas? Do you have student discount? As you can see here, some of those are not really related to any price information. So do you have some banana? That's out of scope. What's my name? Out of scope. What's the weather in Paris? Out of scope. Do you have a free plan? Yes, that's the price request. How much costs the pro plan price request? So, yep. Again, that's an easy way for you to use all your human resources, real human resources, to feed a digital brain to better understand, again, the human, and make that conversation more natural in a way, just because, yeah, you've learned from humans, so you will more likely be able to handle that. So again, how are you? As you can see, setting if in the case that how are you is in the price request, which is not the case, no confidence here, so it will not be mapped, but that's something that the user said. You can still force that to out of scope, train and validate. But everything here is done it's done automatically here, right there, as soon as we pass the utterance. That will train the model, basically. So that's pretty much it, how this this work. Let me check if you have some question in there. So Joel, great tips for all of us need uterine support and prototyping. Yes, Cool Voiceflow had this Wit.ai feature into new project. Well, it's not coming from nowhere. It's not just me dealing with a skill for my kids. That's part of it. Another part of it is we do a lot of stuff behind the scene at Voiceflow. And that's something, the Wit thing, that's something that was brought to me by Frank, which is our cloud architect. So shout out to him for that. And yes, we do test a lot of things because we want to help you guys to be able to do that in Voiceflow, actually. So what I'm showing you here is kind of a preview of what you will be able to do, hopefully in Voiceflow in some time. So yeah, yes, it's just that if you want to do it now, you can, still in Voiceflow, thanks to mostly the API block. And yeah, to make it way simple is basically, at least from what I've tested already, you can do pretty much whatever you want to do in Voiceflow right now already. What our job is to make that way easier for you to do each time we had a feature in Voiceflow. That's our main goal, actually. So yes, if we can reduce that to just you having to share a preview link with anybody, that will help you to feed a brain or a model and train a model instead of doing all of this, we will do that for sure. Then we have, this will help increase the accuracy of many of my skill, great approach, crowdsourcing. Yeah. That's, yeah, I was a bit worried of you guys not, I'm not too clear. We have a language barrier here. I'm not always the most understandable guy in the world, but yeah, I was a bit afraid of if what I was saying will be understandable for you, but it looks like it is, so I'm happy. Yes, that's a good way to increase the accuracy of your skill, as well as making that way more human. And by that, it's mean giving more trust to your users. Giving trust is also retention. If the user is not, if the user trusts the skill, they will tend to reuse it. If when you say something you just don't get, I didn't get that, but instead something that tell the user that we do understand what they tell, even if we can't just answer that yet, at least just saying, actually, we heard you. We just can't answer that specific needs right now, but at least we heard you. Instead of just, I didn't get that. That's a bit frustrating. That's a bit something that the user will not go back to it. It's more like going to Google, doing a search, and for each word you are going to put that in the search box, you will have no answer each time. Well, more likely you will not use Google search again. So it's pretty much the same thing here. Adding an option is always a good thing. What we have also here, I can actually be two skill, one to train and another to actual skill. Training can be internal. Yes, that can be. That can also be triggered by just an intent here and a one-shot invocation. That can be a secret thing. We used to do that for the notification project, for example. So here, that can be in training mode. So Alexa, open my learning demo in training mode. And then you will trigger that intent, go to the training flow, having just for security reason, having a, okay, what's your security code is, getting a 4-digit, using the 4-digit number slot, and ask for a code. And if the code is great, is good, then it's someone from the team that will help to train. So that can be 2 skill, that can be 1 skill, that can be a link to the preview. Yes, that can be a lot of things. Thanks, Joel. You are on someone. Is there a way to use API to enable an Alexa skill to use Amazon Pay for Alexa? Well, this is kind of the thing that we are working. That's a long, yeah, that's a request that's come from time to time. Right now, it's more the ISP thing that we have made available for our users. But Amazon Pay will be part of Voiceflow. That's something we really want to. So yes, it will. Sorry about that. Alexa decided to play music because she was excited that we will have Amazon Pay sooner or in some time. I don't have time frame for that, but for sure that will happen. But yeah, no false hope. No, I'm not saying that will happen in next month, but yeah, this is something we will work on. You already see that, that we start to separate and use channel instead. So right now, when you create a new project, you have Alexa. You choose for Alexa between Alexa, and Google Action. This is a starting point because yes, that ultimately will be Alexa, Google, something else, something else, something else, something else. So yes, all this thing we are working on. And again, that's this session, as weird as it can be, is also just to remind you that we are working behind the scene. All this stuff are not coming from nowhere. Again, this is because we will discuss that during meetings because we have in mind that we can add that, or this feature will be amazing, and then we work on that, and the Eng team do that. If the product team, Eng team, even the design with Mike, they're doing amazing stuff to put all together, but it just not happen in a snap because that's mean a new feature, for example, is a new UI. It's also a new stuff the Eng team should work on. That will imply the product team to also put that in a roadmap. If we have to update, The growth team will also work on that to let you know, guys, that the new feature is available, as well as on my hand, Andrew and I will have to support that for you on Intercom or on a new session or in a new template. So again, that's teamwork, but that's not just, okay, like a snippet of a code, we just throw in all the code and it's happened. It's not as simple, and that's why sometimes it take more time for stuff to happen. But hopefully you've already seen that since this Canva refactoring, now all the feature come all together way more way more how is it? Way more often. Sorry, I'm a bit sick. My brain is not as good as the Wit one or the Alexa one right now. But yeah, this is so this is something we hopefully will add in Voiceflow, as well as Amazon Pay, as well as a lot of stuff for Google. They are making a lot of changes on their end. We will try to be in there. We already, but yeah, I will not talk about everything because I like to give you some, so let you have some surprise. But yeah, we are working hard here. Thank you for walking us through the teamwork of implementing the roadmap feature for us. Okay, go rest. Yes, I will. Thank you, guys. It's a bit earlier, so we have 10 minutes. I'm still fine, sick but fine. So if you guys have questions, yeah, just sure, I will be happy to answer. Maybe not related to like this session only, but yeah, I will try to answer. But if you're good, we can have that earlier. I'm fine with that. My super ticket. Yes, we can do that. We can do that, Joe.